Today we're going to have another look at a Mannlicher Schoenauer. This is the full stock version. They do make a half stock version with a longer barrel, but this is the full stock version. This one actually has some of the nicest wood on a Mannlicher I've seen so far. Now on this side you can see some grain, and there's a little bit of tiger stripe there you can see. We'll have a better look at that once we actually start reviewing the different parts of the rifle. Just giving you a quick overview here. It's a very nice rifle. Got this, I don't know, maybe about 10 years ago. And it's actually a project rifle, and that's why I haven't brought it out yet to this point. And I will get into that in just a moment. So this is another one of my Mannlicher Schoenauers. As I started to say there, this is a 1952 version. The Mannlicher Schoenauers, if you can see here, actually up on the barrel, you'll have a barrel code on there that will actually give you a date of the whenever the barrel was made. And this one actually does say 1952, so it is a 52 model, and it looks like it was actually made in 1952. I do have another video on the Mannlicher Schoenauers, but we'll go over some of the basics of this. Mannlicher Schoenauers aren't made anymore. They do make a Mannlicher rifle, Steyr does, which I have one of those, which I have another review on. This is one, like I said, from 1952, so it is, what would it be, 64 years old, 65 years old. So the rifle actually is in extremely good condition. There's only a couple little defects on it. One there, I'll explain that in a little bit. And also we have a little crack back here in the toe, which was repaired, and you can barely see it. But it is something that you would have to keep in mind if you were buying a rifle like this. So let's have a quick look at the Mannlicher Schoenauer itself. Look at the action here. This is something that's very different from a Mauser action. As you can see here, here's the bolt up in the front. Actually locks ahead of the receiver bridge. This is the receiver bridge. This is the front of the receiver here. So actually the bolt handle passes through the receiver bridge, and that causes problems with mounting a scope, which I'll get to a little bit later. So let's have a little quick look at the bolt itself. Like I said, it actually does go ahead of the receiver bridge, whereas a Mauser or Remington or anything else like that actually locks down and the bolt handle's behind the receiver bridge. These bolts are almost like a work of art and would rival anything as a custom rifle today. So you actually have your extractor here, and you have this funky little ejector thing here, which actually bumps into a part on the receiver and kicks your shell out. So that's in difference to like a Remington with the push button type ejector, and a Mauser either fixed or moving ejector. You come back here, and here is the bolt handle. Now you can see here, the original Mannlicher Schoenauer bolt handle went straight down, and to make the bolt go a little bit closer to the hunter, to make it easier to shoot or to work the bolt on your shoulder, it actually sits up further, or back further, closer to the trigger guard, so it's easier to get to. So that was one of the improvements on the 52, and that stayed as well with the, I believe it was the MCA and the, I believe it was a 56 model, and I think there might have been one or two more after that. Going back through the bolt here, you can see you have two locking lugs in the front here, similar to a Mauser in that respect, but you also have back here is the back of the bolt handle, and this projection here off of the bolt that's machined into it. You actually have a type of almost like a third, like a safety lug there, that could be comparable to the Mauser safety lug that actually fits into the receiver, into a notch in the receiver. This one actually fits in here in the back on the other side of the receiver bridge, right in here. And a really cool thing about this too is, let me see if I can show you, right here on the side is a spring-loaded device here that when you turn the bolt handle down, it actually makes it more secure and less likely to pop up by bumping it. And let's see if I can show you here. It goes down, and you can hear it, and you'll hear the last click right there, and that's actually locked in there very nicely. Now you still can knock it out if you tried, with a piece of brush or something like that, but on all Mannlicher Schoenauers, and similar to a Mauser, they have a wing safety in the back here. Now this guy here has two different safeties, and I'll explain that in a second, but the wing safety in the back, this is fire right here. You flip it all the way over, and that's on safe, and it has a really neat little beautifully engraved S on there. It does not have a middle position like a Mauser, but it has 2 positions, and that locks your bolt into position. Now, another safety, get my hand out of the way there, that they have on here, because people wanted to mount scopes on their rifles, they actually put on, let's flip them around this way, another safety, which is on the side here, that's operated by the thumb, or the shooting hand. So pull it back, and it's on safety, on safe, but you can operate the bolt. So that it does not lock the bolt. Go forward, and double check, nothing in the chamber, and voila. Hammer drops, or the firing pin drops. So if you're actually just using the rifle without a scope on it, I actually would use the wing safety in the back, because it's just a little bit more secure. You're actually blocking the firing pin itself. It's not just blocking the trigger. So let's go back here again once. And you also have the spool magazine in this, like any Mannlicher Schoenauer. You put your cartridges in. If you want to empty your cartridge box, you just push on that, and boom, you're done. It pops right out. Now let's take and see if I can pop out of here real quick the magazine. The magazine is actually a fixed magazine, but you can actually pull the thing out if you want to. Say you wanted to do cleaning or make some kind of changes to it. You just push down on this little button in the front, turn it 90 degrees, and wiggle it out. And there is your magazine spool. Let's put this guy back where he's supposed to be. So this is a rotary magazine, which is really cool. And this is one of those other things that would cost a lot of money to do today, probably, because each one of these is actually fitted to the cartridge that you have. Oh, speaking of cartridge, this is a Mannlicher Schoenauer in 270 Winchester. So that's a little bit different than my other Mannlicher Schoenauers. Let's put this guy back in again if we can quick. Let's see. Let's gotta make sure you get him in the right way, of course. And boom, you're done. So easy to take care of in the field. Now this particular rifle here has a single trigger. A lot of Mannlicher Schoenauers have set triggers. Actually, for hunting, I prefer the single trigger. It's a very nice trigger. It is very crisp. You can't really ask anything more of it. Probably about 4.5 to 5 pounds for the trigger itself. Now, one thing about this rifle is, in particular, is that, as you can see, it does not have a scope on it. Let's throw my bolt back in here. We will put it on safe so that the bolt's locked in there. So this guy does not have a scope, and that's actually why I consider it a project rifle of mine. And now, if we can see right here, alongside, well, let's go back to this here. Ooh. So, if you wanted to mount a scope on this, you'd have to drill and tap this, and you would actually have to drill and tap this flat section over here as well. For, I think it's a Redfield base that they have, and some of the other bases that you can get for these guys. But Mannlicher Schoenauer, or Steyr, that makes Mannlicher Schoenauer at that time in 1952, ended up putting this little plate in here. This plate extends down part of the way down onto the side of this receiver. And what you do is, you can actually pull that plate out. You can have a gunsmith then make a or mount a scope base on there. And there was different ones. There was Williams, there was Griffin and Howe, there was Paul Jaeger, which actually I have one that I'm looking at. And you can see here with this, there's 2 little semicircles that you can see just above here. And this actually did have a scope mounted to it at one point. And from what it shows on here, it was a Pachmayr scope, because right here is a little tiny spot. Pachmayr scope's mounted here. I think it was with 3 to 4 bolts. And it was actually a flip over scope sight, or a scope mount. So you would flip it over, a little projection actually rested on the receiver, which is why the bluing wore off there. And that is actually, it is the one I probably like the least, actually, the looks of. I guess they're functional, but in this case here, whoever the owner was decided to take them off of there. Let's have another quick look here at the Mannlicher Schoenauer, just the basic things here before I go into the scope mounting. You do have your flip-up sights in the back, and what do they have here? It's 300 yards and 100 yards for the flip-up sight. And then also you have your nose cap up here, which is the Mannlicher nose cap, and also a factory hood on the front. Now, let's get into the scope mounting. I had, over the years here, gone and looked at various different ways of mounting the scope. The one that I settled on for this rifle, and which I haven't done yet, is a Paul Jaeger scope mount. Now, not too long ago, New England Custom Gun actually bought out, well, not too long ago, probably like 20 years ago, bought out the old stock of that company, Paul Jaeger in Jenkinstown? Yeah, Jenkinstown, PA. So this actually, I bought this one on eBay. So they don't make them anymore. You might be able to get a couple different variations on the New England custom gun, but I know that they ran out of some of them, like the higher rings, which these are here. So this is the mount that I'm planning on putting on this rifle, and actually I'm working on getting my the drill bits and the taps and the counter bores that I need to do this. So this is a detachable scope mount. Back in the day, they used to like to be able to take their scopes off of their rifles. Let's see here once. This guy, I'm trying to remember, this guy you actually unwind to take the baby off. Let's see. Okay, it's got to go that way. You push in the button. Like I said, I haven't done this in a long time. So, when you did here, you unwind this all the way counterclockwise. I just got it loose here, so. And you push in this button here, right there, which then releases this slide. And this is a brand new one, so it's kind of, it's very sticky. It's very tight tolerances. And you just slide it off. And the idea was if somebody had a scope and they didn't want to leave up the rifle with a chance of it actually getting damaged, they would actually just slide it off of the base. And you can see here, I'll slide it back on. We can. And then you push it up to the point where it goes past that little dedent. And you flip your lever around and it is secure. So nice little scope mount. It actually allows you to use the iron sights if you want to. Like I said, I am working on right now getting the drill bits for my drill press and actually working on putting this on here. So this will mount in that point where the Jaegers actually, or I'm sorry, where the Mannlicher Schoenauers wanted the flat plates for the Jaegers to mount. So that's the Paul Jaeger mount. Now, if you're collecting these rifles, I suggest actually finding some reference material. So that guy over there. One of the things you can pick up is the Shooter's Bible. Now, this is like you can see here, a 1954 edition that I bought off of eBay. Actually purchased it locally. It's a number 45. And in here, because the company that made this actually dealt with Steyr, they put the Steyr information right in the very front of the book. And you can see here, let me just page through it real quick. You can see they have information on the rifles themselves, which is there, Mannlicher Sporting. And you can see there's the longer barrel version and the Mannlicher stocked one, which is what I have here right in front of us. It shows you their options of engraving, also the different triggers that they use for them, the types of stocks that they use. There's the explanation of the operation of the safety on the 1952 model. Here it talks about the actual manufacture of the stock and how that's set up. And here is the scope mounts. Now this here is a Leopold mount. I've seen those quite a few times. This is the Packmeyer mount that was evidently on mine before they changed it over to just an open sight rifle. And this is a Griffin and Howell mount. Yeah, Griffin and Howell. That is very similar to the Jaeger mount. Now I looked through here. I did not see the Jaeger mount in here. That might be further back. This here is also a scope mount that you can find on some of the rifles. I have one of them that has the one of these with a factory mount, where you actually can just turn it at 90 degrees to remove your scope. Very nice setup, but you don't see them very often. And this just shows you here. This here you can see here's where the flat is on the receiver. That is easier to drill and tap. Nobody has to machine the thing out. You just drill and tap it and you're ready to go. So like I said, this is a great reference here. Let me see what else we've got here. Oh, and there they even have a 22 version of the Mannlicher Schoenauer made by Steyr back in, what is this, 1954 that I have here. So that's one of the reference guides that you can get to this. And just wanted to take this to you today and show you another one of my Mannlicher Schoenauers. They're one of my favorite rifles. I did have this rifle out already and shooting it with the open sights, but I was using 150 grain in the 270, which is kind of heavy. And I was actually shooting about 8 inches high, which is one of the reasons why I wanted to go and put a scope mount on it. So, there you go. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please subscribe, and I will say goodbye and out.